Zorro is gone. It's been 20 years and no one has seen the masked defender of the people. Don Raphael has returned from Spain, this time aided by the evil Captain Love in a plan to secure California for himself. From the ashes and shadows, one man will rise to meet him. He has revenge for his motive, a master for a teacher, and he wears the Mask of Zorro.
Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth.
And I'm Michelle.
Today we're talking about The Mask of Zorro from 1998. Directed by Martin Campbell. Written by John Escow, Ted Elliott, and Terry Rossio. Cinematography by Phil Mayhew. Composed by James Horner. Edited by Tom Noble. Costume design by Graciela Maison. Starring Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Stuart Wilson, and Matt Letcher. Michelle, how are you?
What's going on? You kind of caught me off guard because you just started.
I know.
You hit record and you just went, and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right. Let me get my and I'm Michelle ready voice."
Yep. Yeah, normally there's a whole lot of talking before, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it.
There's no talking today. Got it.
No, this is all business. This is serious.
This is serious.
It's Zorro Day.
Yeah, the most serious movie ever.
Yeah. So last week we did a quick update on our lives that we were not allowed to comment on. And I'm not going to necessarily, but I just have to ask, you went to the US Open?
I did.
Where is that?
Queens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the US Open for tennis. It's funny because I'm not a fan of tennis per se.
Okay. That was my follow-up question.
I don't watch it. I don't follow it. I don't play it. But my friends are. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. Sounds fun. And I watched a lot of tennis. And I still don't really understand the scoring because it's bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very fixated on the ball people. They're the people who essentially fetch the ball.
Yes.
Yes, I was very fascinated with that subculture.
Mm-hmm. Did you wear a white pantsuit?
I did not. It was
a skirt?
About 1,000 degrees. I wore a dress, and I've never sweat so much in my life.
Wow.
It was the hottest day here in New York. That's the day I went.
When was that?
That was last Wednesday, actually, a week ago.
Gee, willikers. Okay.
I texted Ant and I said, guess my level of swamp ass. And he just sent a Shrek emoji, and I'm like, not even close. Not even close.
What's more than that?
It's me, the gif of me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, be warned, everyone. If you go to the U.S. Open, you will sweat a lot.
Only if you go on the hottest day.
Right.
Yes.
Hey, we got some emails.
Email.
We got a lot of emails, actually.
Did we?
Remember when we talked about Robin Hood? The Adventures of Robin Hood? Remember that one?
Yeah, it rings a bell.
And no one responded on Twitter? Well, everyone responded by email.
No way.
So first one, subject line is Robin Hood. I'm still listening to the first episode of Swashbuckling September, but in a strange coincidence, straight out of the podcast, I am now watching The Rocketeer for no reason, other than they had it at the library, and it features a character who is a lightly disguised Errol Flynn, acting in a movie in 1938 that is a lightly disguised Robin Hood. I don't know how you do it. Best regards, Skylar. And Skylar is actually the person who nominated Swashbuckling September, and he's a co-host of the What Was Good podcast that he does with his brother.
Thanks, Skylar.
This is the Movie Friends effect. So it's like we're talking about Errol Flynn, and then he goes to watch The Rocketeer, and boom, there's Errol Flynn.
Well, I mean, it's the Movie Friends effect.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time, and I'm just glad that other people are starting to feel its effects.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got a text today. You want to read that text?
Can I read it?
Yes, please.
I would be delighted. So we got a text today saying, hey, I just wanted to let you know I listened to your Robin Hood podcast and got a good laugh about all the talk about swashbuckling. I didn't realize that it's kind of an extinct word, if you will. So I'm home alone now, and when Dad and Mikey left, he put on Extra, I guess entertainment news, which I do not watch on my own. They had a segment.
Extra.
They had a segment on George Clooney and Brad Pitt, 63 and 60 years young, respectively. Anyway, they call them swashbucklers. And immediately I said to myself, Seth and Michelle need to hear this. Swashbuckler is still a word and it's still used to describe people. My work is done here. Carry on. And that is from my favorite Vargas, aka your mother, Mrs. Vargas.
So she is even seeing the
Yeah.
movie Friends Effect. She said in a follow-up text, she said, I was wondering if maybe someone from Extra listened to your podcast. And you know what? I don't know. A lot of people do. It's
Right?
quite possible. And
Anything
so
is
it just
possible.
stuck in their craw and they had to type something into that prompter.
That's right. That's right.
They're like, oh, these swashbucklers.
I still have trouble saying the word.
Oh, it's terrible. I can't wait until this month's over. Not because I'm not enjoying the movies, but because I never want to say this word.
I never want to say it again. How'd you say it the other day? And I was like, that's more like a swashbuckler.
Schwambumpler. I don't know.
Schwambumpling.
Schwan dinner.
Welcome to Schwan Dinner Month.
We got another email. Subject line is swashbuckling September, aka best month ever, maybe? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Oh, okay.
It says, greetings, friends. It's so good to have you both back. Thank you. It's good to be back.
Thank you.
Michelle, I am so jealous you went to medieval times because that has been on my bucket list my entire life. It sounds magical. Now on to Robin Hood. This was such a good first pick for the month. Although the best Robin Hood will always be the Disney animated version, and yes, the fox is very attractive, Michelle was right about that. I really enjoyed getting to see this Robin Hood for the first time. The Technicolor looked amazing and the cast was incredible. After it was over, I found myself reading up on all the movie trivia, and this film has a lot of trivia. And I ended up giving it 4 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. I am so excited for next week's movie, and equally excited for what else this month has in store. What an honor it is to be a movie friend. Heart emoji, Josie.
Josie. I mean, and I say it, Josie's a nugget. Josie is like this wonderful little sunshine in your pocket. Beautiful bouquet of flowers you just want to carry around and bottle up the energy. Thank you, Josie. I wonder if there's a medieval times near you because they're all over the country apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to one either.
Yeah.
I think I'd be too, shy.
What?
I don't know.
No,
you
have to lean into it. You just have to lean into
I would
it.
feel so bad for everyone there.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Emily, she did the research, but we were like, are the horses treated fairly with this?
Are they?
Some locations have better representation than others.
Oh, I did not
Seemed like
expect.
the Jersey location seemed okay, but
Okay. I'll take okay.
yeah. But it is
That's my threshold for taking care of horses. Okay.
It is fun to hoot and holler though.
Yes, always.
Yes.
Thank you, Josie, and I'm glad that you enjoyed Robin Hood.
Yeah, that's great.
This was kind of a stab in the dark a bit, and Michelle and I we haven't fully talked about it, but August was our best month for downloads ever.
It's
by a huge margin.
You would laugh at it.
Through kind of a fluke, but we'll take a fluke,
Yeah, we're learning to accept it. Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, you know what? We have all these new listeners, all these downloads. Let's just do whatever movies we want from now on. Who cares? Who cares if no one listens to our episode about a movie from 1938?
Right.
And then people did.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's great.
Okay, last email says, subject line, you guessed it, folks, Robin Hood. Says, hi, Seth and Michelle. I really enjoyed listening to your episode of Robin Hood. I bought and watched that movie for the first time around 10 years ago and really enjoyed it. My brother and I did the Warner Brothers studio tour years ago, and they took us to a stretch of forest with a road where the Sherwood Forest scenes were filmed. That stretch of woods is also where Spielberg filmed the most famous scene of the T-Rex chasing the Jeep in the first Jurassic Park. And they attached a photo.
Whoa.
Imagine the T-Rex chasing the friar with his mutton joint. Ha ha. Keep up the good work and have a wonderful live show later this month. And that's from Matt.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Wow, yeah,
And
imagine. That'd be a good Photoshop.
what a good segue into the rest of our episode. First of all, friends, we are rapidly approaching our live show, September 21st, Long Island, New York. And I'm pleased to say we might not have room for you. Tickets are free. They also don't exist. And so we're sold out already. Do you know that? Do you realize that?
We're not sold out yet.
No. I mean, if it's free and there's no tickets, you're sold out.
Wow.
If one person shows up, technically.
We're sold out. Good point, Seth. What a mindset.
A mindset?
A mindset shift, but I like that. A mindset shift.
Yeah.
That's good.
But in a more real way, we are like almost out of seats. So
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say come. I'm done. I'm done advertising it.
Okay, well, I'm going to say come.
Okay.
I'm going to say RSVP. The link is in our show notes, or you can visit moviefriendspodcast.com. We'd like to see your face.
We would like to see you there, even if it's just standing outside of the window crying in the rain.
And you have to like only read our lips.
Yeah, because you snoozed and you losed.
Still come.
But also, Steven Spielberg was like, hey, I would like to film where they filmed Robin Hood, put my movie there. And he had a big hand in this movie getting made. But before we talk about The Mask of Zorro, normally, if we haven't seen a movie for the first time, we would record our pre-watch thoughts. But both of us have seen this, but we still need to guess each other's ratings for the end of the episode.
Yes.
So, I don't know what happened to my pencil. I'm pencil-less.
I have a turny pen.
Michelle has a twist and click.
That's much better than a turny pen. A twist and click. Okay.
All right. I am out of Post-its though, so I have to scribble out last week's rating.
I'm torn on this one for you.
You should be.
Great.
I know what it's going to be. I know what mine is for sure. I landed on it, but
well, I'd hope so. You chose this film. Okay. My rating is locked in.
I am also locked in. So this was my pick for Swashbuckling Month. And as I mentioned at the end of last episode, this is a movie that I've kind of been like, not like necessarily like waiting to do, but each time a new theme would come up, I would kind of be like, oh, I wonder if I can fit in the Mask of Zorro anywhere. Partially because I would have just liked to revisit the movie, but also because I just remember like loving this. I saw this in theaters, and this was like a VHS and a DVD. This was watching it at sleepovers, throw it on in the house, watching it on TV. This was big for us growing up. Rewatching it now and then learning a bunch of stuff about it has been interesting as an adult.
Yeah.
Primarily. I never thought or questioned the fact that Anthony Hopkins is playing a Spanish dude.
Uh-huh.
And never knew that Catherine Zeta-Jones was also from Wales. Anthony Hopkins is a Welsh actor, as is Catherine Zeta-Jones. Zeta-Jones? Not sure.
Yeah. Zeta, potato. That's sure. I'm sure there's a way to say that.
And we love Wales, you know.
We do love Wales.
Good
we
friend
have
of the
listeners
show.
from Wales.
Right.
Michael Louie,
you know. Now, how would you feel if you heard that Michael Lee Louie
is he related to
had been cast
Anthony Hopkins? Oh, okay.
In the lead role of a Zorro movie, you know?
Right.
And I don't want to like belabor this point or, you know, try to cancel this movie or anything like that.
Right.
The Zorro movies had a really long history of not casting anyone other than white people to be Zorro,
Mm-hmm.
as did Hollywood movies, just pretty much on anyone. And Zorro was created by an American author. You know, he made a story, and Zorro was a character in that, and Zorro was based on a bunch of real life bandits, and never thought about it. Never once stopped to think, why is Anthony Hopkins playing this dude? So, for you now watching it, and I know that you had seen it, but it wasn't. I don't think it was like as big in your mind as it was in mine. You sit down to watch this. Are you taking Anthony Hopkins seriously?
I'm taking Anthony Hopkins seriously because he's a serious actor, but we're
Yeah.
doing no accent. We're doing no
No.
Spanish accent. In fact,
None.
the only person doing, like, I guess Catherine Zeta-Jones is like in and out of an accent,
Mm-hmm.
kind
Mm-hmm.
of, but
Mm-hmm.
really it's only Antonio. And then what's his face? Love pickle douche man is just speaking like current day.
Captain Love. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, also, you know, the actor who plays the main bad guy, Stuart Wilson, he's British.
Right. It's just all people from the UK.
Yeah. And I never knew that. Like, never.
Yeah.
You know, his accent, his little goatee, mustache with a little curl there. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, sure, I can see this guy is Spanish, which apparently is what the casting director said
Sure.
as well.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
It's weird. Zorro is like a Spanish character,
Yeah.
and then in this movie, the new Zorro is supposed to be Mexican, and he's played by Antonio Banderas, who is Spanish. So it's like they get closer, but really not, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
In
We
a
could
way.
have done better, but again, right?
Again,
98, we're not doing
yeah,
better.
1998. You know, this is put into pre-production in the earlier 90s, like 92, 93, and then 94. They announced the movie. Sean Connery was originally cast in the Anthony Hopkins role,
Oh, wow.
which he had previously played a character who was of Egyptian descent, whose name was Ramirez in the movie Highlander. And he plays it with his very thick Scottish accent.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing casting.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he says like, my name is Ramirez.
Just Sean Connery being Sean Connery.
Just exactly. Like kind of like in this with Anthony Hopkins, where he's just like, nah, I'm just gonna do my voice.
Right.
A few different people are set to direct. Steven Spielberg was in talks to do it. And I don't know if you remember when we were discussing Raiders of the Lost Ark, but like George Lucas and Spielberg pretty much based Indiana Jones straight off of Zorro, off of the old Zorro movies and the Zorro serials that would play in front of the movies that they watched when they were kids. Steven Spielberg is like, heck yes, I'm going to film Jurassic Park where they filmed Robin Hood. And heck yes, I'm going to direct a Zorro movie. You know, he kind of pulled back in order to do DreamWorks. They put in this other director who's done a few things, but he felt like an odd choice when I looked at his filmography. Then Robert Rodriguez makes Desperado with Antonio Banderas. And they're like, this is the guy. He's Mexican.
He'll do.
And he made an action movie. Robert Rodriguez, I think a lot of people mostly would know him from like Spy Kids. But his first movie, El Mariachi, is one of the movies, along with Clerks and Reservoir Dogs, that is pointed to as like the 90s American indie spirit. He made El Mariachi for $3,000, wrote a book about it, about how to make a movie basically with like no money. And it's good. El Mariachi is a good movie. It's not like a fantastic, amazing, great movie, but when you know he made it for like nothing, it's like, oh my gosh. Like it turns out you just need talent and not money.
Mm-hmm. So
Robert Rodriguez is attached to direct Zorro. Seems like it'd be a good idea. He wanted $50 million. They said, we'll give you 35. He says, give me 45. They said, we'll give you 42. And he's like, And and then he eventually backs out. The movie ends up costing $90 million.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Jeez.
if they had just given Robert Rodriguez $50 million, they would have had this movie like 4 years earlier and for half the cost. Now, I would like to see that version of this, but the version that we got, in my opinion, is pretty great.
How did Martin get attached?
So he came on and did GoldenEye, the James Bond movie.
Okay.
And he was offered the follow-up. I think it's Tomorrow Never Dies. I'm not a James Bond person, like, at all. And he turned that down, which, GoldenEye, huge movie, right? Pierce Brosnan, wah! That's what everyone was saying when GoldenEye came out. And so, as they're shopping for different directors, maybe they're just like, this guy, let's get this guy, And he agrees. He agrees to do Zorro. And so, they start out Zorro with a James Bond opening where he walks into frame, where James Bond walks into frame and shoots the guy who's going to shoot him, right? Zorro walks into frame and slashes a fiery Z that then jumps at you through the screen.
Yes.
How did you feel about that?
Well, that was fine because I know the mark of Zorro, so it's to be expected. But this movie kind of started the same way last week started. And I meant to bring this up last week, but I don't love when you have to read a large amount of text in the beginning of a film.
Yes.
Because if I wanted to go read, I'd read. This kind of like takes me by surprise, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not reading fast enough. I'm going to lose context. Like, just show it to me through film. I don't want to read to see where I'm at.
Yeah, I think there's different ways of doing it, and there is like a historical setup here, right?
Yeah.
So I get why they need to explain it to us. Also, we're coming off of silent movies and serials. But like, this is so much text on one screen. I like, if you have that much text, show me one screen that has a little bit, and then it fades out and you fade in more.
That's how last week was. That's how Robin Hood was. This was tiny text.
Yeah. Tiny text.
Jam-packed.
All of it at once. And all that does is when I see how much I have to read, I'm not even processing the information. I'm just like, I have to get through this. I have to get through this. Exactly. I don't know how much time I have.
That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. Yep.
Give me a little hourglass to show me how I'm doing. Like, tell me.
We should do that.
So that if you get halfway and you look and you got more than half of the hourglass, you say, all right, I can slow down.
You can slow down. You can reread it, go over a part a little bit. I love that. Let's incorporate that.
All right. If I ever make a movie with a huge opening scroll.
You have to do that.
It will say time remaining to read.
We're gonna get an update about this, and it's gonna be the movie Friends Effect. This is gonna be incorporated now.
Wow. We should just start putting all kinds of little wishes in there.
We really should. The wishes.
Yeah.
Our wishes. Yes.
But yeah, I was like, oh man, this opening is this is terrible. Also, like, and not to harp on opening credits in a movie from 1998, but like each name that would come up, it would like slowly turn from flat to straight up, but it would stop 75% of the way and then whoosh, finish.
Yep.
And I was like, am I not supposed to be able to read their names for most of the time that the credits are? Anyway, this is an insane thing to talk about. How did you feel about this movie? You sit down to watch it. Boom. 2 hours, 17 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah, 2 hours and 17 minutes. Yeah. There were parts where I definitely drifted off. And I was like, you lost me.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
There are parts where I'm laughing because I'm like, this is so ridiculous. And then there are parts that I genuinely enjoyed. I think this is a really fun movie that you cannot take seriously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I think everyone did pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I'm curious. I'm curious to ask, who do you think did not do pretty well?
Well, I mean, we touched upon it. I think, you accept it for what we've seen, but if we casted more appropriately, I think that could have been better.
Right.
But putting that aside, I think everyone did okay. When you were a kid and you watched this and it seemed that you loved it and your household loved it, did you guys play Zorro? Like, I want to be Zorro tonight. No, I'm Zorro. You're the old Zorro. I'm the young Zorro.
No,
What?
not
This
real.
is the
No,
perfect movie for that, to dress up and get the mask and the hat.
I do
Somebody could
have
be the horse.
I have a photo of me as like a young kid doing like a superhero pose and kind of wearing a Zorro mask.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean by the time this came out, I'm like 11, 10.
It's the perfect age for it.
So I'm a little older. Really?
And you have younger siblings. So
Yeah. They weren't interested in playing Zorro games with me, I don't think.
oh.
No, but no, I don't remember playing Zorro based off of that.
Oh, because if I watched this with Sam and we were more into it, we totally would have made this a game.
I just didn't play games like based on existing properties. It was all original content I was imagining. In
You
my
never
head.
incorporated characters into your worlds. Like, okay, quick story. Sam and I used to play this game called Underwearus, and our
What?
imaginary friends were Baloo the bear, and we had another one, and I think Sam was the princess, but we called her Underwearus, and Baloo the bear and I kind of like ran the court.
What
Yeah,
is
man.
underwearus? What does that
You wear
mean?
underwear on your head.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes princess underwearess.
Right.
Yes. All
Yep.
right, that makes a lot more sense
Mm-hmm.
now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think so. You know, we would have toys, but like sometimes the toys would end up being different characters.
Yeah. We
You
did
know,
that
like
too.
if you've got a Buzz Lightyear, but you're going on like a Western story,
Totally.
he's not Buzz Lightyear anymore.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so Antonio Banderas as Alejandro Murrieta,
Mm-hmm.
and then what I'm going to refer to as young Zorro.
Zorro 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zorro Dos.
Yeah. Sorry.
How did you feel about his performance?
I mean, I'm pretty smitten with him. I'm not going to lie.
Sure.
He's given off the things I'm catching. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds like a sickness.
Well,
it's like catching a cold. He's giving off, and I'm catching it.
I'm catching it. I'm catching off those hot vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty charmed by him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed his character.
Something I never really put together until this time. I was like, oh yeah, as little kids, they see Zorro and they help him.
Mm-hmm.
But then they become like bad guys, right? And I never realized they actually kind of become just mini Zorros as they get older, because they're stealing from the army or the soldiers or the police that's like still oppressing, like the farm that they go to. The people were like taking all that guy's stuff, and he's happy that they have like liberated them basically from these guys and stripped them nude and tied them all facing inward to a cactus. That's a great little image. I feel like this movie's filled with like really great images.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah. But yeah, just because like, he's a little unkempt, and then he's drinking a lot, and he's willing to like sell the thing that was his brother's. So to me as a kid, I always was like, oh man, yeah, he's really screwed up his life. And this time around, I was like, oh my God, he is Zorro, basically. He just doesn't know how to fight and dance.
And he just lost his brother / best friend / only family, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, the medallion's so ridiculous, isn't it? Just in general, this big clunk of metal.
Well, a medallion, yeah, it's a ridiculous accessory, yeah.
Oh, and well, yes, but just for Zorro to wear that, for Diego to wear that,
for
and
him
then
to wear it,
and to keep it all that time is great.
Yeah.
Maybe I think I wanted it to look different.
I mean, it's got to be ginormous so that old Zorro or Zorro Uno
Diego
can see it. in a random bar the day after he has escaped from prison.
Oh, God.
And this gets into, I think what you said was, we just can't take this seriously.
Can't. It's super fun. If you watch this and you're like, I'm down to just watch something and I'm going to forget it as soon as it ends.
Yeah.
This is for you. This is for you.
Yeah. Like, you can't pull this apart too much.
I mean, we can for funsies because that's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna like hold it against the movie, if that makes sense. Yeah.
There's two things that three things. And if you want to, we can just do them. But one is how old Zorro finds new Zorro. That is insane to me. Like, yeah, I get it. You have to have him recognize him somehow. But maybe, just maybe, young Zorro, because old Zorro, I really have to call it by their names. Yeah. Or else I'm going to say Zorro 7,000 times.
You're going to lose me.
Okay. Maybe Alejandro knows where Diego used to live because he's arrested. Why did they arrest this guy? Oh, it turns out he was Zorro. Okay, all right. And so maybe as an homage, he goes and visits that house once a year. Maybe his brother died, and so he goes back to the house, and he's like talking to Zorro. And then out from the shadows comes Diego. That's maybe how I would write it. You know what I mean? Like, you need to connect them somehow. And the way that they decided to do it was, we'll give them a giant necklace. or maybe Joaquin and Alejandro were his little assistants. You know, like maybe they did know each other. It didn't need to be just like a quick chance encounter thing. But it's too much. It's insane.
Yeah.
The second thing is Zorro is arrested. His wife is murdered and his daughter is kidnapped. I was like, this is ridiculous. But then I thought maybe Diego feels so much guilt that he brought this on his wife, that he decided to stay in prison because he was like, I deserve this. Like, I deserve to stay here. But then I thought, but you're Zorro, and this dude has your daughter, and you know where he's going. He's leaving the country. Wouldn't you, at a minimum, like, break out of jail and go to Spain to get your daughter?
Yeah. Like, why did it take 20 years?
Like I said,
20 years
maybe
building
the guilt.
The plan. Oh, maybe the guilt, but
I
also
don't think building the plan, because he sees he sees Don. What's the guy's name?
Raphael.
He sees Don Raphael, and 5 minutes later is like, all right, I'm out of here. It's like the SpongeBob meme, like, all right, I'm gonna head out. Like, literally, no tools. He just it's like, okay, I'm leaving prison now because I'm Zorro.
I know. I mean, honestly, I had to rewind the whole prison scene because I'm just like, wait. Like, people are like, no, I'm Zorro, it's me. And it's like,
oh, what a scene to rewind. Oh, my goodness.
It's not. And then we're just like out.
Those dudes were messed up.
Well,
they were not doing well.
It's prison. So.
Yeah. In like the 1800s.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not great.
So that's the other big thing that I've been pondering the last few days.
But also, like, Raphael goes off, 20 years go by.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's like, where is Zorro? I need to kill him.
Pretty much.
Bro,
because he's got this big plan.
Right, but like, still, you killed his wife. You took the child. Like, give it up, bro.
I guess it's, and this is something that maybe we could have been told a little bit more. It's like, there's only one man who can stop me. So I need to go kill that guy because he thinks I'm gone. Now I'm back. If he hears I'm back, he's going to break out of prison and come find me, which is exactly what happens.
Right. And I guess that's to be assumed. Maybe we don't need to.
But it's like, it's pretty insane to just walk into a cell of like 50 dudes and be like, who is Zorro?
Sure, right. Like, raise your hand. Who's nominating?
Hey, did anybody ever go by Zorro here?
And the thing is, people are nominating themselves because what an honor.
Yeah. That's a throwback to Spartacus, the movie Spartacus. Yes. So the third thing, and this is the thing that I hate the most, and I think I can truly say that even though I love this movie, I hate this thing, is Elena's like magical baby memory
Oh
that
my God.
resurfaces.
I can't with the flowers. Get out of here.
Elena walks onto the beach and like within 2 seconds of her coming on screen, she's like, I smell something that I remember. And people are like, but haven't you never been here before? And she's like, no, I've never been here, but trust me, I know this smell. And then like later on, like, yeah, she's like, oh, this person seems familiar to me. And I'm like, you were a baby. You were an infant. What are we? And so now if we jump in 20 years, what are you, 20 to 21 at most, right? Because that wasn't no 2-year-old in the crib.
No. That's
No.
that's like a couple of months fresh baby.
Yeah. What I do love, though, is, you know, Elena knows how to fight. She knows how to sword fight. And it's like, this is Zorro's daughter. I do like that.
Yes, but also your dad is also Don Raphael, so I would assume you know how to fight.
Yeah. She's trained in all that stuff, but I like that some of Zorro, like, and like her connection to Zorro, like comes through in her character. Yeah. But not through these few scenes of like magical remembrance.
The flower thing really bugged me. I wrote that down too. I was like, get out of here. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Smell. You know how smells just bring you back?
No, when you're a baby.
No, I know.
Get out of here.
I know, but I think smell more than any other sense.
Yes, it
can
does.
like it instantly transports you to like, oh my gosh, I'm here again. So I get it, but like you said, not as a baby.
Not as a baby.
And
that would have worked
is
if she was like a 5-year-old. Maybe I would have believed that.
It could have been that way. She could have been 3.5, because that would put her closer to Alejandro's age anyway. Right. Because if we're jumping 20 years ahead, we're assuming he's 33-ish.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, so those are my 3 nitpicks. So if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I'm done complaining. But
I very much am on the same page with you on that.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just want to give a shout out. It's a damn cute baby.
Oh, yeah? I didn't notice.
Oh, almost where I was like, is this CGI'd baby? This is a cute baby.
Well, you know what's great about this movie? Such a small amount of special effects.
I know. So
everything is just real. The people are real. All of the fights are happening in a real room.
Yeah.
And we're using bull horns off the wall. We're putting our swords into a prison gate and then closing them, and they all turn in one way. We're kicking people out of windows, making people bend over so you can kick them out of a window.
Yeah.
It's great. And this is 1998. So the next year is The Matrix. And The Matrix changes everything. Like if Mask of Zorro is like, oh, wow, cool. Yeah, let's do these movies again. Yeah, wow, this is great. Then it's like 1999, The Matrix, and it's like that scene from Toy Story where Andy drops Woody, and he's like, I don't want to play with you anymore.
Yeah.
Because the Wachowskis are like, hey, this is how you can do it. Like, this is how you can do special effects, CGI stuff, and make it look amazing. And it was just like, oh, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
But we did get this last one.
And we got it. We got it. To the point sometimes where it was like obvious to me anyway. It was like, okay, you could almost predict what was going to happen because it was so outrageous.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like some of the fight scenes, it's like you knew that thing was going to fall. You knew that water was going to start running. You knew you were going to use that rope to do a little hop and a skip because it's there.
But
it's not bad. I'm just noticing
because it's real. It's still thrilling.
Oh yeah, it's very impressive either way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When we're doing sword fighting with 2 swords, you're fighting 2 people at the same time. He does that a few times in the movie. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now you're just.
Do you think if you were a bandit
Mm-hmm.
like Alejandro,
Mm-hmm.
do you think you could become Zorro in 5 days?
It was in him. It was in him to become him.
Right.
No.
Because this movie also has, and I don't know if this was just surprising to me, but like a very, very serious lack of any type of magic or spirituality, or even like I bestow the title of Zorro to, like, nothing. This is almost kind of like a heist movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where it's like we're learning to be different people, we're pretending, we're going in. And, obviously we just did Robin Hood. This is also pretty much Robin Hood.
Oh, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like,
Yeah.
this is just like Robin Hood. We got the whole training montage, which Ant watched this movie with me, and he was like, oh man, I love a training montage. And I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
yes, it was so good. But I wish we would have seen him become a proper boy.
That's the montage that's missing, right?
Yeah. I want that.
And that's the part that makes the least sense. Like, I made a joke, like, could you become Zorro in 5 days? It does seem like he becomes like a high society guy in like overnight. And back then, there were a lot of, we talk about manners now. Manners today basically just means not being a jerk, being polite. That was not the case back in the day. So that part was really unbelievable to me.
I thought we were going to get just like a little of like, okay, this is what you can say. Let's go over how you're going to come up with your story. Like, no.
Yeah, fish fork.
He's just a natural.
Yeah. I need a shot of Alejandro confusing a fish fork and a salad fork.
That's right.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes. And then also, like, he's just a dancer. So
yeah.
Did Anthony Hopkins teach him to dance?
But also, is this a known dance, or are him and Elena just so like in simpatico that they know how to do the dance perfectly?
I can't answer.
Or we just have to let it go because it's
magic.
romance.
Right. And that's the thing is you have to let this go. So when we talked about Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think you and I were both a little bit on the side of like, we get it, but we don't love it.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of like, an adventure movie. To me, I don't feel that way about this movie. Like all of these things that we're talking about and kind of like poking fun at, they don't bother me. Like none of this bothers me. Like I don't see Zorro like just getting up to dance and I'm like, come on. I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like, if you could see inside my brain, it's just like cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, the little boys push over statue. Cool. He gives him a medallion. Cool.
I will say I had more fun watching this one than Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like this one for sure was because again, you're just like, all right, I'm just gonna have fun for 2 hours.
Yeah. And I think that this is a Western, taking place around this time, where we are saying, hey, look at how corrupt this ex-American cavalry dude who's now like Don Raphael's henchman guy is. We're talking about oppressed people. We have a woman who's able to fight. We have all these elements that if this movie came out nowadays, people would be like, they made Zorro woke.
Yep.
But back then, we just didn't. I can't speak for people who were adults back then, but for being a kid back then, you just saw those things and you were like, wow, cool. You also saw stuff that nowadays we also wouldn't do, which is Anthony Hopkins playing a Spanish dude.
Right.
And you were just like, okay, fine, cool, whatever.
Right.
And so for me, like, I'm still able to exist in that headspace when I watch this.
Yeah.
I don't care about like picking the movie apart. I'm just like, hey, Antonio Banderas is like standing on 2 horses right now. Like, that's really cool. And he punched that dude with bowling ball. Oh, he punched that dude with cannonballs. Cool. He blew all of his teeth out. Like, those are the little moments. And Indiana Jones has some of those cool ones. But to me, like, how sometimes in the credits of a movie or a TV show, you'll get like painted or drawn versions of the scenes.
Mhm.
I think that this would be a great movie to do that with. And like one of them is like the big guy like blowing the teeth out, and one of them is
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Hopkins on the horse like rearing up with the sunset,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
there's so many just great images.
Yeah.
And kind of like we were saying with Robin Hood, how that movie is just like foundational. It's DNA. It's it's like the simplest version of the good versus evil story.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
just kind of feel like that with this one.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins as Zorro. Zorro 1. Diego.
Don Diego. Diego de la Vega.
He's doing sword fighting and whipping.
He's great.
He's really doing it.
I'm also charmed by him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very famous for Hannibal Lecter.
Yep.
Great performance several years prior.
So you're like, do I trust this guy? This could be a bad guy. Well, going into this, you're like, you don't trust Anthony Hopkins?
You've been burned before if you do. I love how this movie is bookended with passing on the story of Zorro.
You like that, huh?
Oh, I love it actually.
Yeah,
like
okay.
I was really impressed, and I know the ending with Antonio and Catherine where they have a kid. That was a reshoot. Like they decided to add that on later because the movie originally ended at the gold mine with Anthony Hopkins dying, and it was deemed like too depressing.
Well, we got that like slow-mo walk.
Sure.
Of Antonio and Catherine holding children.
Yeah. That's where it ended. That was the end.
Right. It's so ridiculous.
But it's a good image.
Yeah, sure. It would be great drawn out and sketched, but yeah.
I do. I love that. Like, because the idea of Zorro, that anyone can be Zorro.
Yeah.
And that Zorro is a legend, and that Zorro in our real world came from taking elements of different like bandits and people and just kind of pulling it all into one like legend. Yeah, I do. I like that.
Yeah.
The next movie is called The Legend of Zorro.
Yes.
Which I've never seen. No. Yeah. I did the same thing with this that I did with Planet of the Apes, where I was like, I love this one so much, I'll never watch the sequel. Even if it's amazing, I can't risk it.
Planet of the Apes has got to be better, though, than this.
Oh, yeah. I started watching those. Yeah,
okay.
They're actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine the next Zorro is good.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, but, it's hard to do it. And that's why a lot of movies should just be one and done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although, I will say, Zorro is in the public domain. Why don't we have, 100 Zorro movies a year?
Yeah, I don't know, but there are a lot of Zorro movies.
Prior to this one, yes. But this one, it's like they did it and they were like, yeah, we're never going to do that again because this one is amazing.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So, yeah, I like Anthony Hopkins in this. It is absolutely absurd that he's playing Zorro. But, hey, whatever. I'll accept it.
It's like the fact that no one can recognize him. He's got bright blue eyes.
I love him as a younger version of himself. Because when he's old Zorro, it's like, yeah, that's Anthony Hopkins. But in the beginning, when he's wearing the open shirt and the hat and the mask, and it's like, this is pretty funny. I'm taking this seriously because you're so cool. Because Zorro is so cool.
He's very cool. He's very slick and smooth.
How about him slashing a Z into your neck?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I texted you as I was rewatching this, and I said Zorro is cool because he's just killing people. And I noticed a huge difference from when Anthony Hopkins was Zorro to when Antonio is Zorro. In that opening 10-minute sequence, he is murdering people left and right. Antonio Banderas is Zorro, not so much. He's
well, I
a
think
little
the missions are different.
Yeah.
Yeah. The priorities have shifted a little bit.
But yeah, oh man, people are dying, just slashing people left and right. And I was like, yeah, heck yeah, this is cool. You have a sword, use it.
Like,
You texted me something that was a little cryptic.
I said, can we just have swords and no guns?
What do you mean?
Like Captain Love is just like, yes,
Oh, my super
gun,
long barreled
I'm
handgun.
like, yeah, I just like, let's just pick a weapon. Let's just have swords.
Got it.
Let's not have guns.
You know, I was okay with the guns because it was kind of like in Robin Hood, how some people have swords, some people have bows. You got to, you know.
Yeah, I just, to
defend
me,
against
I'm
both.
like, the sword is so much more impressive than the gun.
So let's talk about Captain Love.
Dude, that haircut. Everything. Last week, you were like, is Prince John a turd? And I said, dropling adjacent.
Yeah.
He's a turd.
Yeah.
Turd alert.
Yeah.
Give him the poop emoji hat. This is a turd.
He was like one of the strongest memories in my mind of this movie.
Really?
And just like hating this guy.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't know how you felt about this, but I think that this movie does a really good job of not feeling like a 90s movie.
Yeah. I mean, besides like the casting, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree to that. Yeah.
Except for Captain Love's hair.
But
like,
again,
I feel like he just looks like they pulled someone, like a dude walking down the boardwalk in 1996.
Yeah.
And they were like, touch nothing on him. Just put him in some, what do they call those things? Epaulettes? Epaulettes?
I know what you're trying to say, but
yeah.
But also
the shoulder
like,
thing.
Let's not change your accent. You're like straight up California.
Yeah. Yeah.
You as you.
Yeah. Give him like a Texas accent.
Nothing.
Give him a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he sucks. But also it's interesting, right? Because like Don Raphael is a villain.
Mm-hmm.
But Love is like a worse villain.
Yeah, Don Raphael is like the important villain. And then you've got like the psycho.
Right.
Yeah. Like his little henchman is like,
yes.
Oh, I'm a little more evil than this guy,
is,
actually.
Right.
So he's based on a real person who really actually did track down Joaquin Murrieta and cut his head off and preserved it. He also captured Three Finger Jack and cut his hand off and preserved it. All that is, can I say that it's 100% historically accurate? No, but all that stuff was taken from what was considered historically accurate. So take that with a grain of salt and look into it.
Sure.
I did, and it appears to be based on, like I said, maybe legend. I don't know at this point.
Wow.
But they didn't just make that up for the movie.
Wow.
Because it kind of feels like a little like out of left field. You're watching this like funny adventure flick, and then suddenly he's like, hey, come to my office today. Oh, by the way, drink this. Yeah,
it just makes you
brother juice.
Oh, God. Brotherhead juice.
Yeah.
And finger juice.
Yeah.
Are you sipping to prove a point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You are.
Oh, you're in his office. You're surrounded by his people. Like, you gotta get unless you can kill him and make it out right then and there, which I don't think you can, and I think Love knows that.
Yeah, right.
And he's looking for you.
Stay face, right?
Yeah. He's looking for him to tip his hand, and he doesn't. Mm-hmm. He drinks the juice.
But
like, and I get why. Like, Love actually establishes why he does it, because he's like, oh, have you heard about these people? They eat their enemies so that they can gain their powers, basically. And for Love, who's a dude who's like tracking down these bandits, he's like, yeah, so I, drink alcohol that's preserving their dead bodies because I don't want to be a cannibal, I guess, is his thinking.
Or he's just sick.
Yeah. And that's what... But he obviously believes it to an extent. Like, you wouldn't do that just to be like...
No, I think you're a psycho.
Like as a gag, like, oh yeah, he's psychotic, but I think that he fully believes like I'm taking their power or I'm
okay.
It's definitely like the most violent part of the movie and very, very intense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you drink it?
I feel like I would, but it would be like a tight-lipped sip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's in alcohol, maybe. It's just like a worm, in tequila.
Right, absolutely. But I also feel like if love is trying to test him, you don't give someone the psycho test. Because even if that wasn't his brother, right? Because he's trying to see if that's his brother.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's my brother. I don't care who that person is. I'm not drinking the head juice. Like,
right, or the finger juice. Yeah. Well, I guess you're just studying the reaction. And in his mind, it's like, well, he's definitely not going to drink from his brother's head juice.
Right. But yeah, I hate Captain Love. I hate him more than Don Raphael.
That's what I'm saying. I also hate his name.
Captain Love? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, that was like his real name, so they just decided to keep it.
Yeah. It's Harrison Love, right? So let's just call him Harrison. I don't want to be Captain Love.
Captain Harrison.
Yeah.
Captain Harrison goes out in a pretty fun way.
Mm-hmm.
He's like totally run through with a sword, so he's definitely going to die.
Mm-hmm. We got blood. Woohoo!
And then, we get some blood. And then he also gets crushed to death by gold. Now, I want to ask you about this gold.
Oh, gosh, please don't, because I really don't even get it.
Okay, all right. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain it as I understand it. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Mexico, America, Spain, they're all fighting for who is going to control California, right?
Yes.
At the beginning of the movie, Don Raphael has to flee back to Spain. He gives all of his land up to the different Dons because he believes that Mexico will be like, all right, just keep it. You can keep legally, the land will be yours, even though we'll own the land. Mexico will own the land, but you'll own the houses. Okay, all right. Then Don Raphael is like, what if we bought California from Mexico?
Right.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But then he's like, we're going to do it with California gold. And even though I've been in Spain, I've also set up this gold mine that none of the Dons know about, nor do the Mexican government know about. The only person who knows about it, seemingly, is Captain Love and me. Mm-hmm. How did this whole operation get started? Like, did Captain Love just call him one day? I mean, obviously it's not a call, but he's like, hey, remember me? I've got this pretty great gig going where I kidnap Mexicans and force them to work in my gold mine. You want to use this gold to buy California from the Mexicans? That is as best as I understand it.
Right.
And Raphael's like, yep, I'll be there soon.
Right. And we're very much like in kind of talks with Santa Anna. We're going to.
Yes. He's coming. He's in a perpetual state of getting there.
We never meet him, but he's
right. It's like it's like waiting for Godot, but it's the Mexican army who never arrives, and so everyone's just like freaking out the whole time. It feels pretty simple, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't understand how this works. I don't
understand it until you just explained it to me. Mm-hmm. I watched it. I read about it. It is not absorbing.
I think because it's a ridiculous
it's like
plan.
Convoluted. I don't. Yeah. But not at the same time.
Well, it makes more sense if he's there, but he's not there.
You mean Santa Anna?
No, Don Raphael. Oh. He's in Spain. How did he orchestrate this? He must write very convincing letters. But again, only to Captain Love. Captain Love has pulled this off like single-handedly.
Right. Yeah.
And so why doesn't Captain Love just buy California if he's got all the gold and he's got the operation? Like, Don Raphael shows up and it's only a matter of like weeks in between.
I guess like power, or I don't really know.
Because they sign it with the seal of Spain, so it looks like Spanish gold. So maybe Captain Love was like, I need you to bring one of those. One of those stamps over, and then you're cut into the deal.
Right. So here's the plan. Can you make this happen?
And then they're like, oh, we'll just blow the whole thing up and no one will ever know. It's like, you're not nuking the site. You're just blowing up. They'll still be able to tell that there was a mining operation
this
here.
Is what I'm saying. Like, this part which is probably really important. I'm just like, "Boop."
Yeah. I do think that this movie could be a little shorter, which I'm sure people are tired of hearing
Yeah.
me say all the
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
I think you cut out, to me. Well, we'll talk about what we would cut, what we would edit, and what we would keep
Yeah.
in a little
Mhm.
bit. But
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
lastly, I want to talk about Elena,
Mhm.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. How'd you
Yeah.
feel about her?
I think she's great because she has a voice. She's using it. She
Yeah.
knows how to sword fight. She sticks up for herself. She has her own thoughts. She's a fully formed human, not just the damsel in distress. So I really appreciated that. Minus her, like, I can smell things from when I was a baby, dealy.
Yes. Yes.
But I really did enjoy her. And she's just like so beautiful. The
Yes.
whole time I'm just like, Anthony, this is like the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I mean, she's just a beautiful woman. But I thought she did very well too.
Yeah, I think she's great. Her chemistry with Antonio Banderas is great. And
Yeah.
even her chemistry with her two dads,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
fake dad and real dad. I believe it. Like, I believe all of her feelings towards pretty much anyone in the room. And I think that that's like a really good skill, as an actor to have.
Yeah. And I felt like Raphael and her actually had a good relationship. Like,
Yeah.
yes, he kidnapped her because he was in love with Esperanza.
Yeah.
But I think he actually legitimately loved her and treated her well as
Yeah,
his
absolutely.
daughter.
Because that, in his mind, that should have been his daughter.
Right.
Everything that Zorro had should have been his.
Right. So she wasn't like, she didn't feel captive.
No, no. Unless, until the end when he like pretends he's going to shoot her,
Right. But then
which
he
is a
says,
little
I
messed
would
up.
never shoot my own daughter, but also
Right.
you shouldn't threaten.
Right.
I just think we needed, I mean, again, this would never happen, but like you find out all this news. Like, honey, we need therapy before we get into a relationship. Like, you just lost your dad in many ways,
Right.
lose your other dad, your
Yes.
biological father.
Yes.
And we're like, just,
They killed each other.
I know, like,
Your two dads just killed each other pretty much in front of you.
we're not normal after
Bernardo.
that. We're not thriving after that. And then shortly after, we're married or maybe not, or just with child.
Yeah.
But, I digress.
Right.
Yeah.
I think she's great. The dance scene is great. I wanted to ask you. Now, I listened to probably more podcast episodes about this than anything I've ever listened to.
Mm-hmm.
And every woman on every episode that I listened to
Yes.
were all in on this relationship between Alejandro and Elena. And me, again, I'm watching this as an adult. They're sword fighting in the stable, and he's like kissing her.
As foreplay.
And I'm like, is this okay? Like, Zorro, should you be kissing her right now? Like, what's going
But
on
she's
here?
so into it.
Okay, and that's why I'm asking you as a lady, like, how are you taking because their whole relationship is based, like, the first time they see each other, he's like, I'm a bad guy. And she's like, nah, you're not that bad. Tell me if you see any real bad guys. And then the confession booth thing is insane. And speaking of like amazing images, is there anything cooler than someone like shooting a confessional booth, ripping it open just to see that like the top is cut open and the guy is gone? That's the coolest thing anyone's ever done. Like, I'm sorry, like that's so freaking cool, man.
I mean, I didn't think too much of that, of it being cool, but I'm not one to visit the church and confession, so.
I mean, me either, but I'm just saying,
But
like,
yeah,
the
right.
bad guy shoots through the door.
Also, like,
it's great.
Not to leave Elena, but that scene bothered me because we're just like, again, Mr. Guns is just assuming. I can't stand him with the gun.
Yeah.
He's just so entitled, and he's like, ugh! It's
the
like,
long
dude,
barrel pistol too.
What if
it's so
there
silly.
could be another person in there? But anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, they are very much sexually attracted. These two are horn dogs for one another, and this is their version of foreplay.
Yeah.
Especially the whole like sword fighting scene in the barn. I mean, when he like kisses her, I was like, oh, I didn't like that, but I'm like, oh, she liked that.
Yes. And
Because
that,
when
yeah.
he's like, stand still, and he's just like, and she's like, her shirt's gone and her hair's covering her, but she giggles. So I was like, okay, you like this. You're getting off on this. So okay, it's like a challenge.
It's a bit much. It's a bit much.
You know, it kind of reminds me of Gomez and Morticia.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they like to play with each other in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raul Julia, who played Gomez in those first ones, he was originally attached to this, and then he sadly passed away. But, yep.
Yeah. How do you feel about it? Do you feel all hot and bothered?
I mean, no. I mean, you know, again, like me watching this as like a 10 or 11-year-old kid, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, wow, cool. Wow, look at this cool movie. And then I'm sitting there quieter during some moments like, huh, what's going on here?
Right.
But yeah, as an adult, I'm like, this is wild. Like, this is really, really, really wild. It's basically like a sex scene without sex.
Correct. I was just going to say that.
But like 3 times, like multiple times throughout this movie. Yeah. Like I said, like the confessional, the dance scene, and then their fight scene.
This is how she's getting some.
It's nuts. Yeah. But yeah, I do like Elena. She's the one freeing all the people at the end while everyone else is just so consumed with revenge that they're not aware that the entire mountain is about to explode. One more little nitpick about this movie. This is like a big epic. You know, last time when we talked about Robin Hood, I said it felt more episodic than epic. And to me, Mask of Zorro feels more like an epic. And my only real complaint about its scope is we focus so much on like the 5 main characters, and the people of Mexico really are reduced to like the masses.
Yeah.
There's not like a character who is like there to like speak with Zorro and to like give information and to speak for the people. We see the one kid a few times who's like wearing the basket on his head.
Yeah.
But like they don't really get to.
And like the one guy that spoke up when Raphael comes back and he's like,
oh yeah,
you know, Zorro stood up for us.
Yeah.
Like
no one's ever helped us.
years ago.
Yeah.
Again, we're just
as Zorro. Zorro was cool.
Zorro was
okay,
cool.
last thing, and I swear this is it.
Well, I have
obviously. Oh, okay. What is it?
Well, no, maybe you should go because mine, you know, is from out left field. So
okay, the stunts in this movie are amazing. You and I love practical effects. We love practical stunts. We love all that stuff.
Yeah.
There are horses in this movie, and I'm not a horse guy. I don't know anything about horses.
Nay.
Oh my God. I never want to be around a horse. Don't put me on one. You know what I mean? Leave them. Let them be.
Okay.
I think my favorite stunt in this movie is so simple, and it's just when he jumps off of like a 3-story building, and the horse moves like 2 feet forward.
Wasn't that great?
And the stunt performer just it's one take, it's one shot. He just jumps down and like lands on the ground. And obviously there's padding, like, you know what I mean? But it's crazy. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah, the horse is great.
The horse is great.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, riding 2 horses at the same time. One leg on each.
Nuts.
Not necessary. It's not necessary.
No, but it's cool.
It is impressive.
Yeah.
It's like, let's see if we can do this. This is the movie to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Unrelated to all of this, how'd you feel when we defeatedly remove our hair pieces? Alejandro literally removes his tiny little mustache and his tiny little soul patch.
Why didn't they just shave it into it? He had the full beard.
I know. So
you can have it. You can just be real.
What I'm wondering is, we shaved everything. Did we make little hair pieces out of our hair?
Right.
And then tape them on or glue them on?
Which just seems like more work. But maybe, you know, maybe that's what Zorro Uno did. And he was like, we got to go full Zorro.
This is how it goes.
Yeah.
This is part of it.
And he was like, no, I can just shave it into the thing. He's like, nope, absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I lied when I said I only had one thing left.
Okay.
There's so much about this movie. And I say all the time, like, oh, I can't, I've been like bursting at the seams to talk about this movie with you. But like this one, like maybe more so than any other one.
Mm-hmm.
Zorro is also a huge, major inspiration for Batman and is basically the same exact character. The original Zorro, and I will say this movie is basically Batman Beyond. I don't know if you remember the Batman Beyond animated show from the 90s. It was an old Bruce Wayne, and he takes on a new Batman.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So obviously Zorro wears all black, and he uses his whip to like swing around, which is like Batman's grappling hook thing. As the stories progressed, Zorro's parents were like killed, and he like goes on this journey to like learn how to fight and like gain knowledge so that he can get revenge on the the people who did it. Zorro's alter ego as Don Diego is this like rich guy who is like, I don't know much about politics. I don't know much about that. But it's all like a front, just like Bruce Wayne is like a rich dude who's like, I'm just a rich guy. But secretly he's not. In the comics, the movie that the Waynes went to see the night that they were murdered is the 1940s Zorro.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's a lot of like similarities. Yeah. And so, yeah, again, this is basically like either Batman Beyond or it's just Zorro taking on Robin.
Yeah. And then I guess that's why this feels like a superhero movie.
Yes. This is like the best a superhero movie can be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's no superpowers. It's just cool stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, and then in this movie, he's got the cave and like the secret entrance to his mansion.
Oh my God. That whole sick fireplace door. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, if you're listening to this, look into the similarities between Batman and Zorro. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, final note on Elena and her magic powers. Her nanny also has magic powers because she sees Elena in the marketplace and is just like, "Oh, hi. By the way, here's this fabric for you. I was your nurse. Nice to see you." No, like running up to her being like, Elena, is it you? Nothing. Just is like, here you go. I was your nurse.
Right. Uses her daughter to
You recognize someone 20 years later. And like, fine, she's supposed to look like her mom, but you would still be like, are you Elena?
Right. Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
We have to just let it go.
Let it go. That's right. So, as I already mentioned, this movie was made for $95 million. Box office is 250, which is great. This has 84 on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.4 on Letterboxd, 61 on Metacritic. Ebert gave this 3 out of 4, and he was pretty favorable on it. The production days on this one is a little weird because they had to like shut down production, and then they also came back to do like that end scene with him. So it's a little hard to knock down like exactly where. I tried to find some places that gave different dates, included like pre-production days. So I'm not sure how long this movie took, but it took a long time. It went way over budget, way over length, and yeah. Now we go to a segment of the show where we talk about what we would cut, what we would edit, and what we would keep. It's called What the Keck. All right. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
I can go first. I wrote mine down, but I don't understand my edit.
Okay.
Well, I'll start with the cut.
Sure.
As impressive as it is with the scene where Zorro 2 is riding 2 horses at the same time.
Wow.
Because it doesn't, if I had to cut, like, is this driving the story?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. Maybe we could rearrange it. Maybe we could show a little bit of it. I mean, it goes on for a little while. My edit, I wrote down, edit down the scene where he says Zorro has returned. Oh, maybe this is where he's going to steal the horse for the first time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt myself drifting. So that's when I was like, let's tighten this up.
Yeah.
And then I'm keeping the training montage scene.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting all of Magic Elena and I'm replacing it with a conversation between her and Bernardo, where Anthony Hopkins tells her the real story. And he says, like, hey, I've been in California for many years, all this different stuff. Maybe he doesn't straight up say you are that person, but he would drop the name. And then later at the end of the movie, when Don Raphael slips up and calls him by his real name, and she realizes, boom, that's all you need. You can cut out the nanny, you can cut out the flowers, you can cut out all that stuff with just talking.
So we're making like some interesting cuts here. We're kind of reworking the film a little bit.
But like,
all
right. That magical Elena stuff out.
Yeah, I hate it. It. Yeah, okay. I like it.
Edit down. I would edit down some of the fancy Zorro dinner party, not the dance scene, and not necessarily. You need to establish that like his alter ego is like, I'm just rich. I don't care about this stuff. Women.
He can fit in.
Mm-hmm. And then like even like the after where like Don Raphael reveals his plan.
Yeah, the dawn meeting.
A lot of that stuff I was just like, I don't know. Okay.
Right.
I think that's like the biggest section that I would tighten up a little bit. And then believe it or not, I think I would keep that whole segment of where he's like pretending to be Zorro, because he thinks Zorro is like putting on the mask and like doing cool stuff. And so when he's just like fighting all those guys, and when they do a dog pile and he just like slithers his way out, it's so dumb. And that might be, for me, the best example of like, just don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's a silly cartoon. Like,
yeah, right.
Because that's never happened. Never happened.
I know.
If you have 20 guys on top of you, you don't
How
wiggle your way out.
How are you slithering out? And you're a full-grown man.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's funny is even after he's out of that pile, they're all still just like,
Well, they haven't noticed.
Yeah. Pretty great. So yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Okay.
We asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Betsy. At Gorham_Betsy. Many people say, has anyone looked hotter in a movie than Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser in The Mummy? I agree. But then I remind them the dance scene in this movie also exists. And that's true. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in The Mummy are also very beautiful people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen The Mummy?
Yes, but the ride is really good at Universal.
Oh my.
Just went on that ride in December. It's a good one. It's a good one. If my friends know where my theme park people at, they know.
Jamila.
Hey, Jamila.
Wildcat Tin Wow says, I love the chemistry between Antonio and Catherine. It's palpable.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
It's leaping off the screen. Ian Smart at Dr. Ego Trip.
That's fun.
Says, the platonic ideal for what you want in a swashbuckling action spectacle. It's doubly great for how shamelessly horny it is without being gross. The closest thing to it recently is the Chris Pine Dungeons and Dragons movie, but even that isn't nearly as steamy as this. And I agree. I don't remember hardly any steam in that movie. That movie was good though. That was a lot of fun, that movie.
Okay.
But yeah, I like how he says that there, without being gross.
Yeah, this was not gross.
And like you said, I think the key to all of those scenes is that she is like gravitating towards this guy. Yeah. It's not just someone like leering at her,
right,
or like peering, or Nick at Bad Movies We Love.
Nick, our buddy,
says Martin Campbell is a hitter. Plus, Antonio was so perfectly cast that the Shrek universe just brought him back as Puss in Boots. He and CZJ at the height of their respective hotness. But maybe my favorite thing about Zorro is how it's where romanticism meets the Western. Yep. Very good. And yes, great point. I can't believe that we went this whole episode without talking about him as Puss in Boots, because it's basically just the same exact thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so again, Zorro is inspiring, a whole thing.
He lives on.
And then finally, the Moderner, at the Moderner 1969, simply says Anthony Hopkins.
Oh. Okay. Thank you, Moderner.
And I agree. This is a great Hopkins role, man. All right, so there's some people that we do know. Now we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. All right, these are reviews from letterboxd.com, which is an app where you can log, rate, and review movies. And we start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a movie. We go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a movie. Now, normally I read the half-star review in an accent. And even though I am of Mexican descent, I don't know if I'm going to do that.
Do you remember how this was a joke during our live show? And you were like, I can read it as Puss in Boots. And I was like, please don't.
Yes.
And you're like, because I am Mexican.
Yes. Yes. Well, originally I was like, I'll do it as Eddie Murphy. And you're like, no. But you know what? I feel like doing a donkey voice isn't the same thing as doing an Eddie Murphy voice, which is crazy because it's just Eddie Murphy.
Right.
But everybody does donkey.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a fun bit, guys. You should go listen to our live show episode.
You should.
Okay, but who are you going to do?
Well, I guess I'll do it as Anthony Hopkins because he's from Wales, and I don't know that that's a Welsh accent.
No.
I can't do Anthony Hopkins. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to go for my nondescript, non-educated in the sense of me being uneducated into how it actually works, British accent.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I was
ready?
like, so you're just going to read in your voice.
I didn't watch it, but heard it playing in the other room, and now I never want to watch it. So I actually pulled 2 half-star reviews for this one.
Wait, that's it?
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but heard it playing in the other room, and now I never want to watch it. That was the first person's review. Second one, I had to do like Google Translate from what I believe is Ukrainian to English.
Okay.
And so this one is also extremely short. Now, take this one with a grain of salt. This is through Google Translate. But it was so funny. The result was so funny that I was like, I want this to be what the person actually said.
Okay.
Okay, so this one I'm just going to read in my normal voice.
Uh-huh.
Half-star review for The Mask of Zorro. I watched it absolutely honestly. And in parentheses, it says, eating soup.
Okay. Those... What made you think this was Ukrainian?
I copied some of the letters and I was like, what language is this? So then I did Google Translate Ukrainian to English and I copied it in.
Those 2 might be my favorite half-star reviews you've ever read.
They're both pretty insane.
Can you imagine being so inspired and heated from hearing something playing in the other room that leads you to write a review?
No, because I'm not a psychopath. I don't leave reviews for movies that I overheard.
And then watching while eating soup.
Yeah. I watched it absolutely honestly, eating soup.
Maybe that means something.
Oh, God. Oh, no. What have I read?
We'll find out.
3-star review says, the primary purpose of my life, get a black cat and call it Zorro.
Yes.
And I pulled that one just for you.
I approve. I have 2 black cats, 2 new black cat friends.
You might have to start calling him Zorro.
No. BB Jam and Kiwi. Anyway.
Okay. QB?
Kiwi, because they've got
Oh,
very, very
kiwi.
beautiful green eyes. We were calling them burnt toast, but they deserve a different name.
Yeah. 5-star review says, true old school adventure film that is really rare nowadays. It was one of the first films I've seen in a movie theater in my small town in Siberia, and 26 years later, its opening still gives me chills.
Wow.
And I pulled that one because I was like, you know what? Sometimes an American writer in 1919 can make a movie about a Mexican bandit, and then 70 years later, a British director can cast a Spanish dude to play that guy opposite a Welsh actor, 2 Welsh actors, and then a guy in Siberia will go, and that will be the first movie that he sees in a movie theater. And you know what? Maybe the world is a small place after all.
Wow. And that's the power of movies.
That's right. Absolutely. All right. We rate a movie 1 through 5 stars. We rate it as a movie, a schmovie, or a film. And we give our final recommendations. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
You know what we should do? Because we
What?
love coming up with segments on this show. We should come up with a little game. We should come up with a little game that picks which one of us goes first for the different segments.
We need like a coin flip or something.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should do password. Do you know how to play password?
No.
Well, remember the cable guy?
Yeah.
So basically, when you and I start the episode and we write down our guess, we would write down a word that we think the other one would say.
Like throughout
during
the whole
episode. Yeah. And if one of us, and if we say it, then the other person doesn't have to go first.
But like you could cheat. Because I could be like, Seth.
No, because you have to write it down.
We'll be like, yeah, Seth is going to say the word film. Seth is going to say Antonio.
I think we're grown-ups enough that we could police ourselves.
Are we?
Yeah, like for me watching this, maybe I'd write down turd, you know?
Okay. All right. We can try it for next week.
We can give it a whirl. We'll forget by next week.
We will. But I like the idea of a game because I love games.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I just get sick of saying every week 4 times. You want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I know. It's true. It's true.
Hey, if you're listening to this and you think of a fun game that we could do, let us know.
Yeah, send us a game that won't take long.
Send us a game mail, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com.
That's what Gmail stands for, you know.
Game mail? I said game mail. I said that and Michelle gave me a look.
That would be like when Bart would call Moe's Tavern and be like, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Game mail there?
Right. I'm looking for a game mail. Is there anyone here who's a game mail?
Okay, so I'm going to go first.
Okay.
All right. So what do you think for me?
All right. So I wrote down that you were going to rate this 3.5 movie.
Very good. I'm rating it a 3. Well, actually, I can't tell you what I'm rating it because I wrote it down. I wrote down my rating for your rating.
Oh.
But whatever. I have to reveal it. I am rating this a 3.7 movie.
Wow. Whoa. A whole new category.
Well, you know, sometimes I throw that in there. I feel like it deserves more than a 3.5, but it's not a 4, so 3.7.
Okay.
This is fun. If you don't take it too seriously, you're going to enjoy it. I'm recommending it if you haven't seen it.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So you wrote down 3.7 for me?
I did. I was like, I don't know what to write.
So you were not locked in?
I was locked in.
But falsely locked in.
Well, no. I just wrote down what I was rating it. See, look. I wrote down 3.7 movie for you.
Wouldn't it be so wild if I actually did rate this 3.7?
I would lose it, Seth. I put a fork in me and done.
Okay, so this might be shocking, but I am going to rate this 4.5. This is a movie. I am here to say that The Mask of Zorro is better than Raiders of the Lost Ark, that this is one of the best action adventure movies ever that if you want to end the century with a movie that is practical effects, practical stunts before we enter the new millennium with The Matrix, this is it. Zorro stands at the end of the 1900s to say, I'm going to do it better than anyone else has done it before. And it's maybe as good as these movies can get. Like, literally, I think that this is maybe as good as these movies can be.
Wow.
And so I highly recommend it. And honestly, I have spent the last like 3 or 4 days trying to figure out ways like why this movie sucks. And every time I'm just like, hey, it doesn't. The casting is all wrong. Anthony Hopkins is like pretty much doing brownface in this movie, and it still rules.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, because it's your pick, I should just rate higher.
Yes, but I hadn't seen this in a while, so
Yeah, I know.
it's unsure. You know, it's not always sure. And I think you and I feel like you and I don't really rate just based on like our personal enjoyment.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And yeah, I recommend it. Watch it if it's been a while, and if you've never seen it, while you're listening to this.
Yeah, I mean,
frankly.
you better not.
But rewatch this movie and then learn about it. A lot of cool stuff about the behind the scenes. Tom Cruise was almost Zorro. They offered him Zorro in the early 90s, and he said no.
Thank goodness.
God.
Thank you,
he
Tom,
was smart
for declining that. That would have been ridiculous.
Hey, if you don't want to be ridiculous, we'd love it if you would give us a rating and review wherever you're listening. Also, send us an email. Come on.
Send us a game mail.
That's right. We will play any game on this show that you send to us.
Yeah,
open invitation.
That'd be fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. And you know what, Michelle? Maybe people don't know what that is. I say that every week. Maybe they don't even know. Basically, here's how it works. You subscribe to our show. It's $5 a month. You then get access to a bunch of episodes that we've recorded that are not available anywhere else. You can hook up your Spotify to it. And so you don't need to go to the Patreon app to listen.
You can hook up your Apple Podcasts too.
You can listen to the episodes like right where you're listening to everything else. It's super cool. Mm-hmm. And you also get to vote for upcoming movies and monthly themes. You also get access to our patron-only Discord, which is like a big group chat. And you get to support a small independent show. That's it.
Oh, I was like, tell me more, Seth. Tell us more.
Well, you know, as I always say, it's the cost of a single banana a month. So just forego the banana.
It's the cost of 5 bananas.
No, what banana is $1? Oh my God.
Well, one banana is not $5.
Yeah, I know.
It's a cup of coffee.
That's an expensive cup of coffee.
Well, hey. You could be like, I'm buying Michelle a cup of coffee this month. And I'd be like, thanks, guys, because I love coffee.
Even though we don't use the money for anything cool like cups of coffee, we use it for
it supports the
shows.
Show. I mean, you guys are kind of the producers when you think about it.
Yes, literally. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All the money. Yeah. If you're like, I don't want to sign up for Patreon. I don't want Michelle to have a cup of coffee.
Don't worry. I haven't had
the
one.
The money. Yeah. It ain't going for us to have coffee.
No.
It's going for the show.
I never see it. Seth keeps all the money.
That's right. So next week, it's your pick.
Well, actually, you know what? It's the patron's pick. Because
what?
A little behind the scenes, folks, I could not decide on what movie we should do, even though it's my week. And I was between two, and I dropped it in our Discord, our lovely Discord, and there was a clear winner. And so we are doing Hook from 1991. It's finally happening. This was supposed to happen. Seth and I were talking about this another month, and I don't remember what month I was going to do Hook for. Maybe it was Adventure Month.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we are doing Hook from 1991. I don't think it's actually streaming anywhere, so you might have to rent it. Or go to the library.
Surprising.
Go to the library.
Go to the library. Check Internet Archive.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Hook. Directed by Steven Spielberg.
Robin Williams, Julia Roberts.
Our second Steven Spielberg
Dustin Hoffman.
And our second Robin Williams. Yeah, first Dustin Hoffman movie.
Yeah, here it is.
All right, wow.
Hook. Huzzah.
First pirate movie for Swashbuckling in September.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we did it.
Yeah, we did it. I'm glad Zorro happened. Zorro.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, and you got to do
You're
it.
you're gonna go downstairs, and Anthony's gonna be doing rope training, jumping around circles. Be like, Michelle, you can't walk outside the circle.
A
Nothing
is for
exists
Anthony.
outside this circle. All right. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth.
And thank you very much for listening. Till next time, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!